Joining us now to talk about this settlement and the false claims Fox News made is retired journalism professor Paul Knox from Toronto Metropolitan University. Professor, do you think Fox News settled this case to avoid a trial and potentially more damning information about their media corporation being revealed?
I don't think there's any question about that. I mean, if it had gone to a trial, you would have had, people on the stand to testify, people like Tucker Carlson, some of their other hosts, and Hannity, and possibly even Rupert Murdoch himself, or people higher up at the actual corporate level. So, that's kind of embarrassing. This is not unusual. People often do this. They run up to the trial, and then they just settle beforehand once they make their assessment of how it's likely to play out. And in this case, obviously, it wasn't going to be very favorable to them.
The lawsuit alleged that Fox News hosts personally believed that what they were saying about the 2020 election on air was a lie. Can you talk about how serious this is from a journalistic perspective?
Well, I mean, it would be serious if we really considered what those guys were doing as actual journalism. Mostly, they were just repeating claims that were bogus, claims that were made by other people. They weren't doing any of their own investigations. In fact, every time one of their actual reporters got on and was actually saying anything remotely close to being accurate, that is to say that the claims of election stealing and so on were bogus, they were obviously very angry. And in fact, in one case, I think it was Carlson, who actually said, we've got to fire this reporter because she's actually reporting stuff that is going to drive people away from our site, and our investors, our stockholders, are going to be spooked, and it's not going to be good for business. So, that's far beyond the realm of journalism. That's a guy who's engaging in something else entirely. I think most people have probably discounted Fox as a legitimate journalism news organization, at least this side of it. I mean, they have good reporters working for them, and at the local level, I think some of their affiliates, they do a decent job. But it's the national organization, the headquarters, that just has gotten completely out of control.
Do you think this case will deter Fox viewers from watching, or do people gravitate to channels, newspapers, websites that cater to their own personal beliefs?
Well, people do. I mean, that's a pretty well-defined phenomenon, and unfortunately, the way things are at the moment, it's hard to change people's minds. It's hard to persuade them otherwise. I don't think that people are going to leave. I think the people who would have left Fox have probably left by now. The people who are not particularly interested in their kind of programming have probably gone by now, and the people they retain are their loyal sort of diehards. I also think that there's some implications here in Canada, because the issue of trust has become an issue here too.
Thanks so much for joining us, Professor.
No problem. My pleasure.